Hi guys, I'm Victoria Pearson, but you can call me V, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, where writers from all over the world get together to try and write 50,000 words in 30 days. I'm going to tell you how I, despite having 4 children, a job and a million responsibilities, as well as being a bit of a chaotic energy, managed to be one of the 10 to 15% of people that actually finished the challenge and wrote my 50,000 words over that 30-day period. Let's go. So the aim of NaNoWriMo is for you to write 50,000 words over 30 days. But of course I don't like to do things by halves, and so my aim was a little bit higher each time I've done the challenge. The first time that I did NaNoWriMo, I created a novel that I would never show anybody. It wasn't in my genre. I personally found it a bit boring, if we're honest, but I needed to be able to finish something. I had written at that point maybe 5, 6 beginnings of novels, ran out of steam around 30,000 words in, and just lost interest in the project. I realised a lot of the time that was due to poor planning. I didn't know what my characters' motivations were, where they were going, what they were doing, what the stakes were even. And so I was just wandering around trying to figure out the story and using up a lot of words to do it. And one year I decided to give NaNoWriMo a go, and I actually planned out what I was going to do. I made a structure. I have done a video all about Preptober and how I did that, and if I can work out how, I will link it somewhere. I don't know how you do that. I'm very new to YouTube. If I can't work out how to link it somewhere on your screen, then I will pop it in the description anyway. So part of it was poor planning, and part of it was that I was just wandering around not knowing what the story was, and part of it was that I honestly just didn't believe at that point that I could write a novel. I'd tried, I'd failed multiple times, I'd become disheartened. And so I did that first novel purely as a way of proving to myself that I could finish a draft. I did it 60,000 words for that NaNoWriMo, and I finished it with probably a week or 2 to spare. I'll be honest, I've probably never looked at that novel again since, because as I said, it's not my genre, it wasn't where my passion lied, but it gave me that foundation to know that I could finish something actually. And so the next time I did NaNoWriMo, I did an 85,000 word draft in the 30 days, and the next time I did something like 87,000, and each time I had a full complete draft that I could then work on in the months following November. Now you might be excited about the idea of trying NaNoWriMo, but just don't know how to even approach a task like that. That's fine, that's perfectly normal. I'm going to talk you through what works for me. It is well worth having a look through the NaNoWriMo forums and things like that to see what works for other people, because all of our processes are different and none of them are bad or wrong. It's just what works for you. So I'll talk you through what works for me, but I strongly advise you, if this is your first time, to go and have a look at what works for some other people as well, because then you can start to mash together bits from all of our styles to create something that is uniquely you and that really, really works for you. So what's the first step, right? You're going to need a big roll of metaphorical duct tape, because the first thing that you need to do if you're going to get through November is lock up your inner editor. Now, I've spoken in videos in the past about how, as creatives, we can really bully ourselves, okay? I've used this analogy before. I think I stole it from The Artist's Way. I might have stolen it from Thrive Program or something similar like that. But basically, if you have a child and they're painting a rainbow and they're using all the colours and they're having lots of fun with it, they're discovering their creative process, they're discovering a real love of making things. And then a teacher comes along and says, "You're holding your paintbrush wrong. Those colours are in the wrong order. You've made such a mess here. Get rid of it." Every bit of creative spirit and creative drive in that child is going to be instantly crushed by that. During NaNoWriMo, your writer side of you, that is the child. Your editor side of you, that is the teacher. She has got her place. You are going to be so glad that you've got her when you come to look at this novel after NaNoWriMo. But during NaNoWriMo, we're going to duct tape her to a chair, we're going to gag her, and we're going to stick her in the basement and ignore her for 30 days. I promise you she will still be there when you get back, okay? And she's going to love the gift of a really messy draft that you're going to give her. But for now, while you're writing, you really need to stop trying to correct yourself as you go along. It doesn't matter where your commas are, you can put them in later. It doesn't matter if your sentence structure isn't quite there, if that bit doesn't quite sound lyrical enough, it doesn't matter. What matters is getting that first dirty, filthy draft onto the page so that that inner editor that you've got has got something to work with. Now, I do this by switching off my spell check, switching off my autocorrect, switching off my grammar checker, and not reading back what I'm writing as I'm going along. Because if I've got lots of red and green squiggly lines all over my page, that is distracting to me. I want to go and fix it. And before you know it, I've spent all my writing time that day fixing problems when I could have been creating stuff and leaving that until later. You are not going to get to 50,000 words in 30 days if you keep cutting them. You can even just write, I don't know, she says this but wittier, or something needs to happen to get him out of this room, I'm not sure what. And you can go back after November and put that in, and no one's ever going to know that you didn't originally know where that scene was going to go. No one's going to know that you don't know how you got him into the car on your first draft. Because by the time you have polished and polished and polished and polished, before it's ready to be submitted or published or whatever it is that you want to do with it, all of that will be ironed out. NaNoWriMo is about getting that first draft down so that you have got something that you can hang your story on. Another technique that really helps me through NaNoWriMo itself is riding that first week wave. Now, if you're anything like me, at the start of a project, you are super excited. You can't wait to get this thing done. It's going to be brilliant. You're bubbling with all these ideas. You're feeling really fresh. Harness that energy, honestly. Get as many words down in the first week as you possibly can. Like 2,000 words is your minimum, not your aim. Okay, I think it's 1,667 words that you're supposed to do. I did 2,000 last year because I was going for an 85,000 word piece. But yeah, in that first week, get as ahead as you can, because then you're buying yourself a day off later in the week. Next thing that I would recommend for getting yourself through NaNoWriMo is to shake up your writing process. I don't just mean in terms of how you're structuring or what style of thing that you're actually writing. I'm talking here about how you actually write. And you'll see that I've got my laptop here next to me, but I very rarely write on my laptop during NaNoWriMo. And the reason for that is the same reason that I don't take pictures with my big posh fancy camera, because it's not with me at the time. Now, you might feel like you have to sit down every day and write 1,667 words in a single sprint, or you are failing. And that's just wrong. Nobody is going to know if you are writing at your laptop, or if you're writing longhand, or if you're doing little bits in 15-minute bursts on your phone. No one's going to be able to tell. But what matters is words on that page. And so if that means writing on your phone, or writing in an old spiral notebook that you keep in your handbag, or whatever, somewhere that you can write for 5 minutes while you're having a wee, or 10 minutes while you're waiting for the bus, or in that little lull in between the 2 Zoom meetings that you've got at home. Many small farts stink up a big room just as big as one big one does, okay? You can do it in little fits and bursts anywhere and everywhere. Let go of that preciousness. You do not have to have your special magic pen. You do not have to have your coffee in your particular coffee cup. You do not have to have the perfect lighting, perfectly manicured nails. Whatever you think that you need to be able to write, throw it out. You don't. And just do it in little bits and bobs, when and where you can, and you will end up with a full novel by the end of it. If I was to sit down and try and write 2,000 words, I would find that far too intimidating. Instead, I sit down and try and write 100 words. And then when I get up half an hour later, I've normally written 1,000 words. That's how it works. Same as if you're struggling because all of your washing up is built up in the sink and you're just like, oh, I know it needs to be done, but I can't be bothered to start. Think to yourself, just wash up 2 mugs on 1 plate. By the time that you've got there, run the water, started, it'll be easier to just carry on and finish it. And it's exactly the same with writing. Do it on the toilet at work. Now you're getting paid to write. Professional writer. Well done you. You know, there's all sorts of little dead times in our day that we could squeeze in 2 or 3 minutes writing. And you might feel like you can't really get into a thing by then. You absolutely can. Because if you've been forced to stop mid-sentence so that you can get on the bus, it's going to be whirring around in your head until you are able to write the next bit. You are going to be ready for it, raring for it. You're going to know exactly what you're going to want to write. And so it's going to make the whole process so much easier for you. Now, if you got to near the end of NaNoWriMo and you didn't ride that first week wave and you've got really behind because you had, like, I don't know, Thanksgiving or, you know, family coming around and friends wanting to Christmas shop with you, and you've all got really, really behind, and now you're like, oh, I'm going to have to write 5,000 words a day just to catch up. Stop, calm down, take a deep breath. You got this, but you're not going to get it if you're thinking like that. What you need to do is add in an extra 100 words each time that you sit down to write. Just break it down into those tiny, tiny little pieces, and it's going to be a lot easier for you. I don't care how blocked you are. I don't care how blank your brain is. You absolutely can write 100 words. That is, what, 2 big paragraphs at the most? You can manage that easily. You can manage that while you're waiting for the kettle to boil in the morning or your toast to pop out of the toaster. Yeah, you can do that. Do it on your phone. Do it on your notes or on your Google Docs or on text messages if your phone is really old and you can't even do those things on it. There's still a way. Little bit at a time. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And that is how the tortoise beats the hare, isn't it? This task that you are attempting, NaNoWriMo, is immense. Don't let anybody tell you that it isn't, okay? It is hard work. It's hard cognitive work. And after you have finished in November, whether you wrote 50,000 words or 5 words, you are going to need some time to rest. You're going to need some time to recover. And you are likely, it is expected, that you will have a little emotional wobble at the end of NaNoWriMo. Both during and after NaNoWriMo, it's really, really important that you don't compare yourself to other writers. I know that sounds silly because we can see each other's word counts on nanowrimo.org. It's not there to be a competition for you, okay? It's there to remind you that other people are also doing this challenge alongside you. You are not alone, which is how we often feel when we're writers, that we're doing this big thing all by ourselves. You're not on your own through NaNoWriMo, and that is why we're posting our word counts, and that is why we've got all of our cute little graphs that show our progress and things like that. It is not there for you to look at and feel bad about yourself for. What your writing journey is not the same as what anybody else's writing journey is, and comparing your word count to other people's, it's just going to steal the joy from your project and make it feel like massive amounts of work. It isn't going to help you. In NaNoWriMo, there are overachievers who do like 200,000 words in 30 days. And then there's people that barely scrape 2,000 words in 30 days. And every single one of those people is a winner because they've been creating that writing habit. They've been prioritizing their writing. They have been making it something that is really important in their lives. And that is really what NaNoWriMo is all about. Just quickly going over the nuts and bolts of it for those of you that are not familiar with NaNoWriMo and this is your very first time. Basically, no one else can see your writing, so you don't need to be embarrassed about that. It's an honest system. You write how many words you have written in that day, and NaNoWriMo believes you. So if you wanted to, you could just cheat, but who would you be cheated other than yourself? At the end of NaNoWriMo, you submit your entire manuscript or your entire document, and then an AI thing checks the word count, but that's all. It doesn't store your piece of work. It doesn't read it. You haven't got any actual humans reading it. So you don't need to worry, A, that it's rubbish and everyone's going to see how rubbish it is, or B, that it's so brilliant that everybody's going to steal your ideas. No one else is going to be able to see it. You get a little graph each day showing you how many words per day you need to meet your goal. And it shows your progress going along, or your lack of progress sometimes. And other people can see those. Some people don't like to have those visible, and so they don't actually submit any word counts until the very end of NaNoWriMo. So it seems like they've done 0 all the way along and then 50,000 words in one day. At least I assume that that's what they're doing. Maybe they are writing 50,000 words in one day, in which case you are a machine. Well done. Remember, lots of us are trying to fit NaNoWriMo around jobs and caring responsibilities and all sorts of other things like that. So if you don't meet that goal every single day, it doesn't matter. I've said it many times in this video, but it bears repeating. If you write more than you normally would in the month of November, you are a NaNoWriMo winner, and I'm really, really proud of you. If you want to get more deeply into how I do Preptober, how I do NaNoWriMo and Nano Now What what happens after NaNoWriMo. I do actually have 3 different written blogs on my website about that. It's victoriapearson.co.uk. It's in the section Victoria's Notebook, which is my blog, and I will try and remember to link these in the description for you as well. Join me next Monday for my next vlog. I have no idea what I'm going to be talking about yet, but up until then, you have yourself a beautiful day.